Welcome back to our lesson of PHP. In this lesson, we are going to learn about how we can use PHP with numbers. Well, as we did already show you about our previous lesson, how we worked with, strings and all of those. So in this lesson, we are going to be learning how we will work with numbers in PHP. So first I'm going to do is open up my Visual Studio Code, which you can see from over here, which is index.php. Here I'm going to do is open up the folder, and after I opened up the folder, you can see that it will show me trust this author, and we're going to click on OK, and then you are going to start from over here. So first I'm going to do is remove this and start off from the beginning. So just like we did on the previous times, like we added in numbers, but sometimes we put in double quotation and sometimes we did not. So you have to keep that in mind, that when you are using numbers in PHP or using numbers as a variable and all of those, you don't have to use double quotation. Like even if you do or not do it, it's still gonna show it up on your web browser. So let's just start off without any further ado. So let's just type in echo, and after I type in echo, you can see I'm gonna type in 40, and then whatever happens, you just have to keep in mind that you have to end it. So after I ended it, I'm gonna do is run it up without debugging. I'm gonna open up my browser. You can retry as admin, press on yes, and that has been done. I'm gonna go over to my web browser and reload it. And you can see 40 has appeared up on my web browser. Okay, and you can also see that the local host which I'm using for the past couple of lessons. So make sure to see or open up your CMD and keep it running in your background. Okay, first up, what you're gonna do is type in your echo path, just like we did on the previous lesson, and then make sure to run your local host so that PHP can make its own local host on CMD and then run it for you on your web browser. Okay, so after that is done, let me just show you with double quotation too. Let's say I'm going to do is put in a double quotation, end it with a double quotation too, close it off. Now run it without debugging, press on yes, and after that just retry as admin. Make sure to do that most of the time, show more, and type in yes, and that has been debugged. After it's debugged, just go over to your web browser, restore it, and you can see still the 40 is available. So it doesn't matter that if you are using using double quotation or not, use quotation. Well, that's totally up to you and totally optional. And if you want to do addition to, you can also do that. Let me just remove it. Let's say first off, let's just type in negative 40. Now I'm gonna go over to my web browser. First off, run without debugging, press on yes. Now I'm gonna do is cut it off, go to my web browser and restore it. First off, I'm gonna do is again run it without debugging, press on yes, retry as admin, press on yes, and that will open up most of the time. So go over to your web browser and restore it. Now you can see that it's minus 40. Now let's say the next time what I'm going to do is going to be typing in a decimal number. So let's say I'm going to type in 40 point, let's say something like this, and the same number will appear on your web browser. And that is how exactly PHP works. So first I'm going to do is remove it. Now let's say PHP can also take addition, multiplication, subtraction, and all of those at the same time. But it's not like that it's going to do the summation or the mathematic for you. It's just going to show you the number on your screen. But if you want that to do the summation for you, to do the math for you, then that is a totally different command which you have to use, or a totally different function you have to use. So first off, let me just type in 4 plus 5, and as that has appeared up, now I'm going to do is run it without debugging. Now I'm going to press on yes, press on retry as admin, press on yes, go over to my web browser, restore it, and you can see that it's still doing the math for me. That means PHP understood what I was trying to put. So 4 plus 5 is equals to 9. So that is how they put it. But if you put in double quotation in between them and put in spaces, you might see something different. Let's say I'm going to do is run without debugging, press on yes, save as. I'm going to do save it as index.php, yes, retry as admin, press on yes, and I'm going to go over to my web browser, and let's see how it looks like. yet you can see that it's still given me 9 as an answer. So that is how it exactly works. Okay, so you will be able to use a lot of numbers too, and if you want to multiply it, then what you're gonna do is put in the star option and then run it as debugging or yes or no. That's like totally up to you how you're gonna work with it. I'm gonna go over to my web browser and you can see 4 into 5 is 20. If you want to like divide it, you can also do that. So, and if you want to like make the percentage, you can do that too. So let me just show it to you step by step. So let's say first I'm gonna do is divide it. If you want to divide it, then you have to put in the divided like division sign, which is going to be this 4 divided by 5. That is how it exactly works like. So let's just see how it works. First I'm gonna do is type in 20 over here because that is how I want it to be. I'm gonna do is run it without debugging and do the same step. Well, you might feel like it's a bit, frustrating sometimes, but this is how it actually works. Now you can see that 20 divided by 5 is equals to 4. Okay, now that is how it works like. I'm going to do is remove it again. Let's say I'm going to do is type in 20. Now type in percentage. Let's say I'm going to type in 4. Now let's see when I debug it, run it without debugging, run it as administrator. I just go over to my web browser. I can see 20 division or like 20 percentage 40 is how it exactly works. Okay, then you can also do a lot of things with this mathematics. Okay, this is like totally up to you. You can also use like variables too. So as that is like totally 0 now, let's do a 3 number or 3 numeral value and see how like if it gives us the answer. So let's say I'm going to do is open my bracket after echo. And let's say from here I'm going to do is 5 plus 7. And after I type in 5 plus 7, which is equal to like 12. Okay. Now as that is 12, what I'm going to do is multiply it like at the end. So I'm going to do is put in this and 12 into 2. And I'm going to do is run it as debug. Yes, retry as admin. Press on yes. And I'm going to go to my web browser and restore it. You can see that I have 24 because 5 plus 7 is 12 and 12 into 2 is like 24. And now you can see that PHP can do a lot of mathematics for you directly on your web browser. And obviously after seeing that, you know that PHP has a lot of functionality and a lot of capability to actually make up a web development and a web browser. So I'm going to do is minimize it again and start working over here. Next thing what I'm going to do is going to be using my variable. So here I'm going to do is first off cut it off. So here I'm going to do is cut it off, and the first thing what I'm going to do is type in the sign just like we used on the variables and say num. I'm going to keep it like this, and here num is equal to let's say 20. Okay, I'm going to do is close it off. Now here the next thing what I'm going to do is type in echo. I'm going to put in my variable num, which is over here, and after I type in echo and num, I'm going to do is close it off, semicolon. I'm going to do is run it without debugging. Yes, retry as administrator. Yes, I'm going to go over to my web browser and you can see that like the variable number is 20. And if I say that I'm going to add it up, I'm going to do is put in a plus, and let's say I'm going to put in 5. Now let's see if it works. I'm going to run it again and see if it works. If it doesn't work, that means it's not going to support. But if it does, I can see that it is giving me 25 because it's using your variable over here, which is 20, and also adding it up with 5. Okay, so that is how it exactly works like. You can also put in like two, you can put in 2 variables at the same time. Let me just do it like how it actually works. So let's say I'm going to do is cut this off, and I'm going to put this echo later on instead of that. So I'm going to put this variable as something definitive, just like we did on variable data or like variable data. Okay, so I'm going to type in equal over here, and in equal I'm going to do is put in another variable which is going to be over here, and in this variable I'm going to type in num, and here I'm going to do is type in plus, I'm going to type in 5. So now this has turned into 25, right? But the next time what I'm going to do is going to type in echo. Here in echo I'm going to type in my variable and this has turned into like a double variable which I can like see. And if you want to add in more like addition or like subtraction in between, you can also put that. Okay, you can also put that like in here. So let's say I'm gonna put in plus. Okay, so as this is plus, now I'm gonna do is run it without debugging and see if it works. If it does not work, what I'm gonna do is change that plus or minus sign over there and restore it. I can see that this has turned into 45. Okay, what I'm gonna do is remove it, and first off, if I restore it or like refresh it, it's not gonna work. I'm gonna do is run it without debugging, press on yes. I'm gonna do is this, yes, and I'm gonna go over to my web browser and refresh it. I can see that this has turned into 25. So that is how it basically works. Okay, now let's say I'm gonna use the ABS or the ABS code. Okay, so I'm gonna do is cut it off. Now here what I'm gonna do is going to be typing in echo. The next time what I'm gonna do is type in ABS, which is also a command, and here in between the bracket I'm gonna do is type in minus 200. And as I've used 200, I'm gonna do is close it with the semicolon, and now I'm gonna do is run it without debugging. Do is retry as admin, press on yes, go over to my web browser, refresh it. I can see that this has given me 200. So the next thing what I'm gonna do is going to be echo pow. So I'm gonna do is type in echo pow. Here what I'm gonna do is going to be typing in another 2 or 4 or like whichever number you want to use. Let's say I'm at 3, and then type in 6. Now as I've typed in 6, I'm gonna do is run it without debugging. So as this is debugged, so I'm going to retry it as admin and go over to my web browser again and refresh it. And I can see that this is something like this. Okay, then I'm going to do is use another command, which is going to be sqrt, which is also quite similar. So I'm going to do is remove this pow over here. I'm going to do is type in sqrt. And as I've typed in sqrt, I'm going to do is type in my content or type in my value, which is going to be something around 244. Okay, and see if it works. Make sure to like end it with a semicolon. Then you're gonna do is run it without debugging, press on yes, retry as admin, and put on yes again, go over to your web browser, refresh it, and I can see this is giving me the echo sqrt of 244. Okay, so this is how you will be basically able to use sqrt. Then I'm gonna use another command, which is going to be the max. So if you want to use the max, I'm gonna do is cut it off. Let's type in max, which is over here. And here in my max, let's say I'm going to use the same one which I used like a while ago. So I'm going to do is type in either 2, comma 10. Okay, so after I'm done, I'm going to do is run it. Okay, so if you want to actually see your progress, what you have to do is do the same thing. Run it as run it without debugging, or run it with debugging, and then refresh your web browser, and you can see it will give you a result. And among 2 and 10, it's given me the maximum number is 10. We can also use the minimum over here. Let's say I'm going to type the minimum, which is over here, and run it without debugging. Press on yes, and do the same thing over here. Retry as admin, press on yes, go over to your web browser, refresh it. I can see the minimum number is 2. So now you can see that how it actually works. Okay, then I'm going to put in another one, which is going to be the round. Okay, so here I'm going to type in round over here, echo and round. Well, most of these functions are also available in HTML. So I'm going to do is round. Here I'm going to type in 3 or like some value, just like with decimal 5.67. So I'm going to do is run it without debugging again. Press on yes, retry as admin, press on yes, go over to my web browser, refresh it. I can see round is around 6. Okay, I'm going to do is type in seal over here, which is another command. And now after I typed in seal, now I'm going to do is type in the same number if you want to, but if you don't want to keep it like that, you can also keep it. So I'm going to do is type in 5.3. I'm going to do is run without debugging, press on yes, run the administrator, open up my browser, refresh it. You can see it is still 6. Okay, and you can also use floor. So here I'm going to use the floor command, how it works. And I'm going to do is type in, let's say 5.9, and see how it works. I'm going to do is run it again. As I've run it, go to my web browser, refresh it, and I can see when I use floor, it's obviously going to get me to the previous one, okay, which is going to be 5. So mostly this is how you'll be able to use the numerical commands and numerical functions of HTML and PHP too. And you can get through each and every one of them by fiddling through each and every one using how it actually works. Okay, so you have to do is like, use them for a couple of times and then you will get the hold of it. So thank you for watching this video, and if you didn't understand a part, please let us know, and then we will get you through the process and guide you through the process. So let's move on to our next lesson.